Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Welcome to Gift of Healing TV. I'm Sarah Jane, your hostess for the evening, and I have great pleasure in welcoming Tommy Stoffel to the program this evening, and he is going to be sharing his chatter relaxer. Now, when I can get the right page up in front of me, because I've got myself all confused here, let me introduce Tommy to you. Tommy is a rocket scientist, military officer, and high-tech manager. Tommy was doing his best living life. As with all of us, he has his ups and his downs. A few of those downs sent Tommy looking for a change, and after years of searching, he found the awesome power of a calm mind and clear thinking. Tommy now shares what he's gathered from great teachers across time with those seeking true and lasting peace of mind, a gift with amazing benefits. He simply and logically shows what makes up the noise in our head and offers fun, practical tools for relaxing and reducing that troublesome inner chatter for good. Tommy, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Well, thank you, Sarah, and lovely to be here. And wow, that write-up sounds awesome. I mean, I want some of that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing whatever it is you think the audience wants to hear about.
Well, I think really let's help people to get to know you a little bit. So share a little bit about your story, how you got to where you are.
All right, how I got right here, right? Here's the place to be.
How did you get to the chatter relaxer? How did your life change?
Well, that's all part of it, because getting here into this moment means getting rid of the chatter that pulls us out of the moment. So it all brings us right here. Kind of one of the bigger things that happened in my life that really like just almost just snapped the inside of my mind was I was getting woken up at 3 o'clock every morning, and I know a lot of people can relate to this. And some people call it the bewitching hour, where in the middle of the night it seems like your mind starts to churn and make up stuff and try to scare the crap out of you. And I had this routine where at 3 o'clock every morning I would wake up and I would start to just get into a cold, panicky sweat because I just knew what was coming. I looked over at the clock and sure enough, 3 a.m. again, and I knew it was going to happen, and I just had no way of stopping it. I had no way of controlling it. And a split second later, my brain would snap on and it would start running in all these crazy directions and all these crazy places and down these nasty holes and worrying about stuff and afraid of things and just the cacophony of drama and nightmare that was going on in my own freaking head, this brain between my ears. You know, the alarm clock would go off 3 hours later at 6 a.m. like mockingly, would mock me and say, time to get up. I've been up for 3 hours tormenting myself with worry and things like that, losing sleep, stressing out about stuff. And then I'd go out and do my day. And I'd perform okay in my day. I was, had a good job and had a good family, had a good life, had all that stuff going on. But then I'd go to sleep again and boom, it would happen again. And so this went on for probably a couple of years, and I finally hit a breaking point. Something started not working well in my brain during the daytime. I was maybe too overstressed or overtired or overworried, and I actually went and had to spend some time in the hospital. When I woke up in the hospital the first morning, I said, what's going on? What am I doing here? What happened to me? Everybody outside is like, what happened to Tommy? He was doing great. And you don't know what goes on in people's heads. And I didn't know what was going on in my head. I actually got to talk to a doctor later on during my visit there, and I said, Doc, what's going on? And he goes, what goes on in our heads? And he says, we don't know. He says, we really don't know what goes on in people's heads. And I said to myself, I've got to figure it out. I've got to figure it out because I don't want to be on medication for the rest of my life. I want to get control of this thing. And so that's what I proceeded to do. I proceeded to continue studying what I was studying and seeking answers and finding teachers and getting this mind under control.
And so, with all this work that you've done, you've created your chatter relaxer. So, how did that start for you?
So I'm gonna take you back to a different point in my life because this all gels together and kind of culminates in starting to put this material in this class together. When I was 12 years old, and again, this is another situation I know people can relate to. When I was 12 years old, my dog got killed by a bus, and it was my best friend. Open heart love, for 7 years of my life, and at that instant, when I heard that my dog had gotten killed, I shut down. This 12-year-old Tommy became Tom, became very serious. Stopped loving, said I'm not going to feel that pain ever again. I'm going to shut that thing down, whatever it was. And it wasn't conscious. It was just like, bam, this wall came down. And I spent the next 30 years of my life without any emotional sensors, without any openness in my emotional energy system. And if you think about that for a minute, and a lot of us, this happens to a lot of us. A lot of us get shut down emotionally for one reason or another. And I'm doing this with my hands that you can't see, but we shut down our energy sensors. Not just our lover, not just our heart center, but all of our other energy sensors. And we shut them down at different points in our lives. And I can see by your nodding that, yep, we know this happens. But what happens when we do that is now we have to walk out into the world. And instead of having the benefit of sensing things that are going on around us, sensing danger or sensing people's emotions or sensing what's right or what's wrong, we have to think about everything. And it puts our brain, which is a computer, to doing a job that it's not designed to do. So it has to over-process everything. You know how much data you have to take in and information you have to take in to get the same sort of an output as you just feel, if your feelers are working right? So that also, kind of transpired and happened. I call myself a thinkaholic. I got addicted to thinking, and I couldn't stop this thing. I had no control over this thinker on top of my shoulders. So when I asked that question in the hospital, I also got some answers that kind of related to what's different about me. What's different about me or somebody else, somebody who ends up in the hospital, or somebody who just ekes it out in life, or somebody who snaps and goes on a shooting spree, or somebody that does something as ridiculous as slitting their own wrists, which happened to the kid sitting in the bed next to me. That I realized that we all walk around with a certain amount of noise in our head, a certain amount of chatter. So that's kind of where the chattering started to come from. We all walk around with a certain amount of noise in our head. And you can see I'm doing this with my hands. My mom used to run around and say, I've had it up to here with you kids. Right? Well, we do that to ourselves. We've had it up to here with stuff, with ideas, with information, with chatter. And when I say chatter, there's ideas and information and intelligence in our head, but there's also a lot of negative stuff. This bad self-talk, oh, you're an idiot, oh, you never do anything right, oh, you made another mistake, oh, blah, 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 blah. And that's part of this chatter. So I have a chart that maybe I'll pull up here in a minute that talks about a green zone, a yellow zone, and a red zone. But I had gotten to that red zone where I couldn't take anymore and my brain couldn't process anymore, and it overloaded. And in that process of understanding what happened to myself, I said, well, what can we do to reduce that baseline noise? What can we do to reduce the chatter? What can we do to bring those levels down so we're not in the red zone anymore, and that we can function okay in the yellow zone, and then eventually we can get down into the green zone. And that's where the chatter relaxer kind of evolved from.
So have you had fun creating this?
Fun? I think a great sage once said, let the seeker seek. When they seek, they will find. When they find, they will be troubled. So there's excitement in seeking. There's an excitement in finding, and there's, for me, a passion for finding the truth and the truths about me and how this thing works and in other aspects. But along with that comes trouble, because as you're digging in, you start to realize that, you know what? I can't keep blaming the world for my problems. I can't keep pointing fingers out there for things that aren't going my way. And so when you start pointing back at yourself, you got to, take a spoonful of humble, and realize that you have some work to do. So fun in one hand and trouble in the other. But that's the way it goes, right?
Well, absolutely. Folks, if anybody has any questions for Tommy while he's talking, please, if there's anything that you sort of want to comment about, do interact with us. We'd love you to do that. We're quite happy for you to do that. So how long has it taken you? How has the technique, this chatter relaxer, evolved over the years?
As with anything, the pieces are coming in from all directions all the time. So going to some workshops and picking up some great teachings from different teachers, the Eckhart Tolles and the Wayne Dyers and the Carolyn Maces, and then I'm traveling to India and hanging out with swamis, and going to South America and hanging out with nawals, and I'm just looking for answers anywhere I can find them, right? And as you do that, you pick up the for me, the diamonds, the trophies, the winning things that really help me. And that is what kind of has gelled into what has become the chatter relaxer. So that's why in the bio it says it's from the teachers from all ages. It's from modern day teachers all the way back into ancient Mayan, Aztec. It comes from all different places. But that's what we do, right? We seek and we find. When we find, we'll be troubled. The next statement after that is, but when you're troubled, you will marvel. So we want to get to that marvel state. We want to get to that place like, wow, this is cool. This is all right. And in order to do that, we all seek and we compile and we bring in information that works for us. Well, this has worked for me so well that I share it with other people, and that's I'll talk a little bit later about some of the people I've shared it with and some of the things they've witnessed and experienced in their lives. But I can speak wholeheartedly for myself right now, and that I'm a different person. Like I said before we came online, you said, do you call yourself Tom or Tommy? And I said, well, growing up I was Tommy, and then at 12 I became Tom, and I was Tom for many years, and now I'm Tommy again. And to me, that's what life's about too. It's like just getting back to yourself, getting back to knowing yourself, getting back to being able to listen to yourself. And I'm gonna go a little high tech on us. Unless you have another question, I'm gonna go back to that green, yellow, red chart for a minute.
Carry on.
So we'll see how well this works. I'm gonna hold this up in front of my face, and okay. So the idea here is that over on this side of the chart is going up is the amount of chatter you have in your head. And you can feel this, right? And there's little words over here that say, oh, I'm worried, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed. And then up here it says snap, lose it. And we know we do that, right? We walk around in life and something triggers us, So what this depicts here is a baseline. And this black arrow, let's say, is your baseline. So let's say I was waking up every morning and I'm in the high yellow zone. I got so much stuff already going on in my head. Then my day starts, and I have ups and downs in my days. I have stresses, I have traffic, I have my boss yelling at me, I have stuff going on. And what does that do? Well, if you're starting in the high yellow zone every day, anything that goes on in your day is going to push you up into that red zone. And what happens when we're there, right? Mm-hmm. We know the difference between reacting and responding.
Yeah.
Reacting is that knee-jerk, oh my gosh, you do something and you're like, oh, did I just do that again? Did I just yell at them again? Did I just blah, blah, blah again? And you have those regrets, of what you just did. So that's reacting. Yeah. And that's what happens when we have all this noise in our head and we don't have much space left. We don't have much space available to deal. Yeah. So as we start working on the chatter, and that's what the chatter relaxer does, that's hence the name, we relax the chatter, we start bringing that baseline level down and down. And let's say you get it down to here after a weekend class. Well, then what? You still have the squiggly line going on, right? You still have the stresses, but you're barely touching the red. So you have more control. You have more opportunity to respond in situations. You have more opportunity to think clearly. You have more opportunity to make, I think I already said this, clear decisions. And that's what happens. That's the benefit, and that's what we're working on. And eventually, once you learn the techniques, there's kind of seven, so I was taught 7 root causes of all this negative noise in my head. Just 7. You know, people say, and your brain's going to tell you too. Your brain's going to say, "Oh, this is too hard. This is not for you. But shut up. Don't listen to this guy because he'll just mess us up. Don't go there." Right? That's what your brain's going to do because it wants to keep its job.
Yeah.
But you need to retrain your brain to do its job and not do what it's hired itself to do. And that's to get you all worried and scared and take up brain space, fretting about things that you don't need to fret about. And you can see what happens, right? You learn, and you keep working it, and you keep working it, and it doesn't take long for you to get down into the green zone. And then what happens? Well, then the stresses happen in the day, and guess what? At the worst case, you might get a little anxiety, you might get a little stressed, a little worried about some big project or something coming up. You may have a relationship that's still, stressing you out. But look how much calmer you are, and look how much more space there is to handle that pressure and that stress. So that, in a nutshell, is how to get out of a nutshell.
Excellent. Have you got any examples? I mean, obviously this is all stuff that you've used on yourself, that you've been able to put it together to help others. But have you got any examples that people are happy for you to share of comments and feedback people have made to you after using the Chatter Relaxer?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, people who have come through the course have, and it impacts people in different ways. I had a woman who, during the class itself, so I have it recorded on video so people can take it that way, but I also do it in my home for small groups. And I had a woman who, during one of the earlier meditations that I was teaching her, actually fell asleep. And I was like, well, okay, that happens sometimes. And she came out of it and she goes, oh my God. She goes, I haven't slept without drugs in 15 years. So I'm like, okay, that works. That's nice. And another woman overcame her addiction to eating. She was overeating for different reasons, and in the work we do, it's deep work, but it's very clean and it's very simple and it's not very, you do however much work you want to do is how it gets put to you. And through clearing some old beliefs and realizing some old things that were hooking her in there, she's lost lots of weight, and she's eating much healthier now. Her relationship is much better because I know him personally. So those types of things happen. I had another woman who came back and said that her relationship with her 2 sons is much better now because she doesn't lose it. She doesn't snap. She doesn't get angry at him anymore. So that anger subsided. And you can feel this, right? If you think about it, go back to the green, yellow, red, you bring that baseline noise level down, you have more space to deal with the stresses. So you're less likely to snap, fly off the handle, get angry, and you're more likely to think and feel your answers and how to respond in a situation. And then there are people who take the class and they don't think anything happens. And then 2 years later they said, I was at work and people at work think I'm really peaceful. And so even if you don't know what's happening, this works. It changes, it shifts, it can't not work. There are some things that you'll learn, that you'll hear, and once you hear them, it's like your perspective changes and it won't go back. And it's as simple as just hearing something sometimes. And then you just won't go back. So it sticks with you too, because at our core, at our essence, at our authentic self, we are enlightened. At our essence, at our core, we are peaceful beings. We're cooperative, intelligent beings that have a mind that's under control. That's our human nature. And all we're doing is getting back to that. We're just getting back to our human nature, by, like I said, we reduce the chatter, we take out the garbage, we do things to tear away, peel away, and shed the stuff that doesn't serve us, that makes us lose sleep at night, that makes us have to go spend time in the hospital, that makes us not pleasant people, that makes us not nice spouses or parents or relationships or children or whatever it is that makes us less friendly than we want to be, is what we work on getting rid of.
Brilliant. You said that you've got an exercise, you've got something that you can share with us that we can actually do here on the program. Would you like to share that with folks? Because I know you're restricted on time.
Yeah, absolutely. So before I actually get into that exercise, I'm going to lay some more groundwork here. And so so the noise in our head, like I said, comes from 7 basic areas. And when we get into the actual training, we just address each of them very logically. We look at what it is. For example, worry. Worry is one of them. And that was one of my favorites. I was a good worrier. That was one of the best worriers I knew, right? And we do. We take pride in our worry. And I can handle a lot of shit, we say, right? I can handle a lot of stuff. And we take pride in how much we can worry about things. So that's like the idea of like how we understand it and laugh at it, and then we dig in like, okay, what's anchoring you to those beliefs that make you worry? Well, in here are things that we walk around with a lot of expectations, say. We have expectations on situations, that we expect a situation to work out a certain way just because we say so. Or because we put some stuff in motion and we influence it and blah, 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 and then we expect something to happen. So expect. You hear this word expect. Yeah. And what happens when our expectations aren't met? A situation doesn't meet our needs, right? Yeah. We feel worse. Something goes down as opposed to going up. Something gets heavier as opposed to getting lighter. So setting ourselves up with expectations, and apologize for the noise outside. They're actually repaving the street today, which I had no control over. But that's a situation I can't control, and I wasn't expecting it to be quiet outside, so we're okay. So expectations. And then we have expectations of other people. We have expectations of what a perfect partner should be like, or what a perfect child should be like, or what a nice mom should be like, or what a good friend should be like. And then we have expectations of ourselves. So you can see this is getting heavy already, right? It's already getting mucky. Like, oh yeah, I do that a lot. Oh yeah, I have a lot of expectations about things. And this is a cause of chatter, right? If you think about it, I have an expectation of a situation. I go into that situation, and I'm worried about it. Oh, is this going to work out the way I want it to work out? Oh, what if it doesn't? What am I going to do then? Oh, what if they don't react the way I expect them to react? What if they're blah, 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 and all this noise going on in our head of churning and cycling. So we're going to deal with some expectations. And you can do this exercise. You're probably writing a list right now, and if you're not, get a piece of paper out, because that's part of the exercise. I'm going to ask you to get a piece of paper out and a pen. And we're going to do this exercise. As I'm talking about things that we have expectations about, if you come up with them like, oh yeah, my mom, oh yeah, my job, oh yeah, just write down mom, job, just write down some ideas of things that you think you have some expectations about. This is part of the process, part of the getting from the red zone down into the yellow zone, or if you're in the yellow zone, getting from the yellow zone down into the green zone, is clearing away the noise, clearing away the chatter. So this is part of the game, part of the process, and it's fun actually when you do it and you see the results. You're like, woohoo! So one thing a lot of us are caught up on, and it is a partner or a friend, somebody that you're actually cohabitating with in some form or shape. Because most of us don't enjoy being alone. We can be alone, but I think we're cooperative creatures by nature. Our human nature is to be together, and a lot of us like to have somebody there. Well, if you think about that for a minute and kind of tie that into expectations, and start thinking about when you started making a list of what that person is going to be like. I started my list probably when I was 12, right? And it was probably when I was watching I Dream of Jeannie or something. So, but yeah, right. But you start making a list of who that person is, what they're going to look like, what they're going to dress like, what they're going to act like. And by the time I was 13, that list had changed. But everything was scratched out, and there was a whole new list, but it was twice as long. By the time you're 15, right, half that was scratched out, and boom. It's kind of funny and kind of ridiculous, but think about it. It's true, right? We do this. We have these lists running in our head of what somebody should be like in order for them to be a good match for us or to complete me. Oh my God! If I ever hear anybody, don't say you complete me to me. That's a whole nother game. But because you're complete by yourself. As long as we take out this garbage, you'll realize how complete you are by yourself. And then the perfect person will show up to hang out with you. Um, so we do these lists, right? And these lists, we're always changing them. Oh my gosh, you sit and watch some romantic comedy on TV or a movie, and you're like, oh, that's so sweet. And in your head, you just scratch something off your list and you scratch something back in, another behavior you want to see or something else you think would be great. And we do this. And then what do we do with that list? Well, we don't know we have it until now. Now that you know you have it, you'll never not know that you had it. It's one of those perspective things. Now you know you have lists. So now you need to clean them up. Because what we do with these lists is we walk around, and what do? We compare people against them, right? We hold up this list, and we say, you know what? My partner is just not meeting my needs. My partner is just not behaving the way I expect them to behave. If they leave that piece of clothing on the floor one more freaking time, or if they leave the dishes in the sink one more time, right? Well, that's on your list somewhere. And we're constantly comparing and judging. What are we doing? We're setting ourselves up for misery. We're setting ourselves up for suffering. We're setting ourselves up for chatter and noise in the head that, oh, they're not doing it again. Oh, they're pissing me off again. Oh, I should do this. Oh, I wish they would change. Oh, I'm going to call them out on it. Blah, 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 right? And boom, boom, boom. You can feel the pressure. Yeah. Until you snap at them and you yell at them, and then you're like, oh, I'm sorry, honey. I did it again. I yelled at you again. Sorry. Well, the exercise is just this. Take that piece of paper, take that pen, and do yourself the glorious favor of writing down your expectations of a perfect partner. Write down hair color, size, shape, language spoken, education, shoe size, cleanliness. Just dump it out on a piece of paper. Get it out of your head. Get it out of your head and onto paper. I call this one making a list and checking it twice. Because you make the list, just let it go. Don't judge it. Don't get mad at yourself. Don't go, oh yeah, this is part of the trouble. Seek, find trouble. This is trouble. Because then you're gonna write the stuff down and just write it, right. Turn the page, right. Turn the page, right. And however much it takes, just get it out. And then give yourself a little bit of a break. And then check it twice. And just see it. See it for what it is. And don't judge it. And don't be angry at yourself. And don't be angry at anybody else. And just let it go. When we do the class in my home here, I have a fireplace, and we take the list to the fireplace and we burn them, just to get them out, of our lives. And so that is an extremely powerful exercise, and it just is so cleansing, and it's so healing, and it's so mind-opening that I just hope and pray that you do it. And if you do it once, you're going to probably want to do it again. You're going to say, you know what, I have expectations of best friends. I have expectations of parents. I have expectations of kids. And you go through all this stuff, and some people, your ego brain may say, well, don't do that. Don't do that, because then we won't have any filters. We won't know who's good or bad. We won't know how to let people in or not let people. That's not true. What you're doing is you're taking that job away from your brain. It's not your brain's job to sense people. It's your heart's job to sense. And so now you're taking that job that your brain is taking on that it's not its job to do, and you put it back to where it belongs. And your heart's gonna know who you're supposed to be with and who you're supposed to interact with and how you're supposed to interact with them. And that's what you need to trust again. So not only are you quieting down the chatter in your brain and getting out of the red zone, the yellow zone, and getting down into a green zone, and that relates nicely into where I wanted to go with this, but it's opening yourself up to feeling again, to feeling the truth, to feeling what's right in the situation. I feel like I'm talking an awful lot for an anti-chatter guy.
But okay, it's the sharing that is so essential, and you can't share this information without using words. But okay, what I'm taking from this is get the lists out of your head onto paper. Then your head hasn't got to keep the list in there.
Yeah, it'll do two things, right? You won't have the noise in there anymore. You will also kind of see it's like seeds. It's like seeds of the chatter is in those lists because you're comparing and they're not good enough and oh they're breaking their vows to me and oh blah 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 and when you look at the list, that's why you check it twice and you start to see the ridiculousness of some of the things that you have on your list. That'll just relax a lot of stress and a lot of pressure out of those relationships. It's like we have lots of strings attached in relationships, and this is unhooking those strings, unhooking some of those connections, and getting back to a really light, friendly, happy relationship with a lot of different people. So that's the one thing. I was coming here, so I'm going to come back to this for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Getting out of the red zone, most of us hang out in the yellow zone. Most of us don't live in the red zone. Most of us hang out in some degree of the yellow zone. Maybe we hang out in the green zone, but we tend to, depending on our daily stresses, jump up and down. But let me ask you, what do you think happens down here? What do you think happens when your mind, when the chatter is really under control, and there's a lot of peace of mind in there? I mean, there are several things that happen. One of them I already talked about is the space you have in your brain now to deal with situations. So instead of being here and spending 97% of my brain space worrying about the future or fretting about the past, I've got 97% of my attention right here in this moment. There's marvel there. Seek, find, trouble, marvel. There's marvel in being in the moment. It's a nice place to be most of the time. It's very peaceful. It's not full of stress and anger and worry and fear. The other thing is, what I already alluded to, and I'm going to stand up a little higher here, is when we're getting out of our head and calming the noise down, what does that open up? It opens up our sensors again, our energy sensors, and we're beings of energy, so we need to use our tools and be able to sense energetically. So it's opening our chakras, our energy sensors again. And the other thing in here, which is just brilliantly designed and just wonderful when it happens, is where did that little voice in our head go? Where did that little voice go that tells us the truth? Where did that little voice go that knows the right path to follow? We call it our intuition. And when the monkey brain, the monkey mind, is screaming all the time with all this chatter going on up there, the chatter, 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 you can't hear nor feel your intuition. So when you get calm and you get quiet, and that's why we meditate, right? That's why we practice meditation. A couple of reasons. One is to tame the brain. So you know what? You're going to do what I'm telling you to do now and not be running around like a mutinous crew on a pirate ship anymore. And you're going to do what you're told and behave. And then we're going to get quiet once in a while, and we're going to be able to hear our truth. We're going to be able to hear our higher self. We're going to be able to hear what I call our inner sage, our inner wisdom, because it's there. It's our human nature. It's there. If it's not there, then you're not walking and breathing and living in a body anymore. As long as you're in a body, it's there. It's just buried under all this chatter. So another amazing benefit to get to that place of marvel. Once we get that chatter under control, we intuit, we feel, we sense, our intuition is back in line. We can hear clearer ourselves. We can feel situations better, and we're living pretty regularly in the present moment.
And it is about freeing us to live from our hearts.
Yeah.
And about encouraging that when the head does come into it, that the head is helping make the heart choices occur rather than constantly quashing the heart choices.
Very true, right? So your mind is still, people think that when you get peace of mind that you get to be a dullard, or that you're inactive, or that you're going to get stepped on, and it's just the opposite. Right? You're now using your mind the way it's supposed to be used, to really think things through and to make clear decisions and to work with your heart and to reunify the heart, the emotions and the thoughts, right? We are creative beings. One of the unique things of being unique about being a human being on this planet is that we can actually affect change of things. We can create things energetically, however we create, through our words, through our actions, through our deeds. And when you have your creative energy, so one is your thought energy, that's part of your creative energy, and your other creative energy is your heart, right? You put your heart into something, and you can start to feel that. And when you get those back in sync, when you get those working back in harmony, because right now a lot of us are out of harmony on this planet, right? We're head heavy and heart tight.
Yeah.
When you get that back in balance, feel the creative energy, feel the power of that. You can do anything. Put your thought energy, combine it with your heart energy, and doors open up everywhere. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Sarah.
But it's so true, and there are many people offering different ways to get to this, and this is what I love about this, because your work will so resonate with some people, and other people's work will be right for other people, and it is so essential to me that there are many different ways to achieve the same, so that because we are all different, and
Absolutely.
you can get through to some people, maybe because of your background more, because they will connect better with you, and your way of doing it is perfect for them. Somebody else's way is perfect for those people who connect to them. So there are many ways of helping people to quieten the mind, to start to learn to live from the heart. And I think one of the most important things is encouraging people to believe that it is okay to be selfish, to live from your heart, to follow your heart's choices, to do what is right for you without your mind getting in the way and saying to you, you can't do that because.
Yeah, very true. And the one thing you said many beautiful things there, and one of them was that the teachings and the awakenings and the findings, seek and the finding, do come from different sources, and that's why we're all here, and that's why we all have our own life experiences. That's why I went through my dog dying. That's why I went through my hospital stay, because I had to get out of that, and now I can, talk to other people who are maybe dealing with similar monkey minds, similar, who come from a logical kind of background, which is kind of where I came from. And different people bring the gift different ways, which is fantastic, and it's so beautiful that you offer opportunities for us to present these gifts, to present them in different ways, to present what we're here to offer to to a larger audience. And so, Sarah Jane, thanks so much for that. And you're right. Getting back into the heart is where we need to be. And it's just, it's our brain's going to tell us that it's hard. Our brain's going to kind of argue with us and tell you that it's not for you. And that's where your power. That's where you need to be selfish. That's where your inner self needs to step up and be strong and say, I'm taking back control of this boat. I'm taking over this ship again, because the captain, somewhere along the way, the co-pilot bumped the captain on the head, right, and gagged her and tossed her in the galley or in the brig a long time ago, and no more. It's time for the right part of us to take the lead of what we're doing, and to put the crew back to work to doing its job.
Yeah, putting everybody back in their right position, every aspect of us, and helping us to be the whole again, rather than separate aspects of ourselves. I appreciate that you need to sort of be off very promptly. We are going to share your website with everybody. That will be in the email that goes out with the replay. We are also going to share an email address for you, because I think you said you've got an offer that you were going to make to folks.
Right. So first thing is, my website is right in the middle of changing to a different email server system. So a lot of the links in there are broken right now, but I'll have that up in about a week. Chatterrelaxer@gmail.com. So just what I do, I relax your chatter. Chatterrelaxer@gmail.com. I have what I call an external chatter relaxer. So the course itself deals with the stuff inside of our head, that the chatter that we've been carrying around with us all our lives, and how to reduce that and get that level down and get it calmed down. But we also take in a lot of information, right? We take in, so if we're getting rid of stuff, but we're eating as much, and we're just taking in as much, stuff, more noise, more stuff, then we're just fighting with ourselves. So what I'll send you, absolutely free, it's a beautiful PDF file that has the top 10 things you can do to reduce the external chatter, the external information, the TMI world, too much information world that we sometimes get bombarded with. And a lot of us feel overwhelmed. Number one complaint I hear, I'm just overwhelmed. So yeah, send me an email to chatterrelaxer@gmail.com, and I'll happily send you that top 10 external chatter relaxer kit, and we'll go from there.
Brilliant. And this program is actually going to be on YouTube, and it's not one I'm planning on taking down. So do you want to put a time restriction on that, or are you just quite happy if people find it in 2 years' time that you'll still send it to them?
Anytime, leave it out there, and it's a never-ending offer.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much. Tommy, I'm very aware of the fact you've got a meeting to go to, and I am so grateful for you for joining us here today, for sharing the chatter relaxer. Everybody's kept very quiet, but we have had Karen Jane, and she did write saying she's no questions but happy hearing this. She said it's really interesting, and so thank you so much for being here. Your website, once it's back up and running, I'm assuming it's going to have all the information about your courses and your workshops, etc. So folks can find out much more about you and what you're doing via your website.
All true, yep.
Excellent, excellent. I will say thank you to you. I will let you go. I will finish the program off. Because I appreciate that you've got to be gone, but I am just so grateful, and I hope we'll connect again soon, because Tommy and I have met out in the States, and Tommy and David run Life Matters TV, and I believe you're creating a website for that at the moment, aren't you? Or
Right,
David?
we are. So yeah, one more bit of information. It's Life-Matters-TV. And we've got, David and I do a weekly webinar series where we talk about life matters. We talk about stuff like this, and we have a lot of fun doing it. Sarah's been on our show, and we'll have her back. Lovely friend. Sarah, thank you so much for this opportunity today. You are just an amazing soul and a beautiful spirit, and you're doing wonderful, wonderful things for everyone. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Tommy. You take care. All the very best to you. Thank you so much. Cheerio.
Bye for now, everybody. Good night. Good day. See ya.
See ya. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching, whether you're live or whether you're watching the recording. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you've enjoyed Tommy's work, and I hope that you will sort of investigate via his website, and that information will be at the bottom of the YouTube video for those of you that are watching the program or signed up and missed. I will it will be in the email that goes out with the replay, so you will receive that information. Next week we are being joined by Dawn Cummins, and she's going to be sharing a meditation with us. Are you worthy of love? I'm really looking forward to this. I'm not 100% certain what to expect, but I have met Dawn and had a few Skype calls and whatever with her, so I'm really looking forward to our meditation next week. So I'm going to say a very big thank you to Tommy and to all of you. Karen, thank you. Everybody, sort of please feel free to share any of these programs with your friends, etc. Thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful week. See you next week at the same time. Love, peace and light to you all. Namaste.